Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart Alan Swerdlow, and this is the Expansions News Podcast for the middle of March 2019. As you probably know, last week we didn't have a podcast because I was in Mexico and Ecuador, mostly Ecuador, and Janet was extremely busy getting ready to go on her trip. So now she's in Texas and I'm here, and so we'll be doing this solo at the moment. So you can just enjoy me. Now, something that came up just recently as I was finishing this report, the shooting at the mosque in New Zealand. And that shooting killed 49 people. And as you know, 4 plus 9 equals 13. There is that number 13 again. It's always in every of these events. And that is a deep state ritualistic event. And it was designed to make white Christians look as if they are the terrorists. And isn't it interesting that the attack on an Islamic mosque took place in Christ Church? Very symbolic, I think. On to some other very disturbing deep state news. Facebook data sharing deals with 150 companies which are now under a criminal probe because they sent users data and shared that without anyone's consent. Facebook is being investigated for allegedly sharing its users' data with dozens of tech companies without their knowledge. And there's a New York grand jury that has subpoenaed records from 2 smartphone makers involved in the partnerships. The data was shared without users' knowledge and included genders and birth dates as well as every other bit of information. What you need to know is that Facebook is a CIA and DARPA setup, because the CIA and DARPA in the early 2000s set up a program called LifeLog. LifeLog monitored your every move on your computer and on your cell phones, and every single thing you said and looked at is recorded. So then the government was afraid that people would catch on to that and believe that the government was spying on them. So DARPA ended the LifeLog project in February 2004. And then the next day, in February 2004, Facebook began. Coincidence? I don't think so. I think that Mark Zuckerberg is being propped up by DARPA and the CIA under the guise of Facebook to spy on you. And what better way to do it than make you think it's a really cool thing to do to join Facebook and be part of the social media. Meanwhile, you're giving your life away. So Zuckerberg works for the CIA. Facebook is a setup, and it's the eyes and ears for the deep state. It tricks the public into allowing monitoring. So basically, it's like opening your front door and say, come on, burglars, come on in. You can see everything in my house. It's okay. Now, another deception. U.S. pilots who fly the Boeing 737 MAX 8 have registered complaints about the way the jet is performed in flight, and that's according to a federal database, which was accessed by news services. In one of the complaints, a captain reported an autopilot anomaly, which led to a brief nose-down situation where the front of the aircraft pointed down, according to the federal database. In another complaint, a first officer reported that the aircraft pitched down. We have interruption of this little. I think he's actually an Ewok, but I'm not sure about that. I think Ewok, you need to go back to your home planet before you hurt Daddy. Anyway, in the complaint, the first officer reported that the aircraft pitched nose down after the autopilot was engaged during the departure. The autopilot was then disconnected and the flight continued to its destination. So that's what's going on with the MAX 8 planes. Because they had re-engineered the 737 to make them lighter and more efficient, the engines are closer together under the aircraft, and that destabilizes the plane. So Boeing created an AI device which then corrects any dips or bends or flows of the air, automatically overriding the pilot's control. And so when this happens in flight and the AI thinks that the plane is going in the wrong direction and corrects it to another direction, we have a crash. Basically, pressing the switch to turn off the device would have corrected the situation, and those people would have been saved. And believe it or not, the MAX 8 is the Boeing's biggest seller. And of course, last week, an Ethiopian Airlines crashed, killing 157 people, and that was a second crash in 5 months after the Lion Air flight in Indonesia last October that killed 189 people. Other pilot complaints from the federal database include a report saying it is unconscionable that Boeing, the U.S. Aviation Regulatory Agency, and the unnamed airline would have pilots flying without adequate training or sufficient documentation. The same entry also charges that the flight manual is, quote, inadequate and almost criminally insufficient, unquote. And that's why President Donald Trump announced that he was going to immediately ground all MAX 8s and 9 aircraft, even though the FAA say, oh, there's no problem with them, they're fine. So there is a temporary global suspension of the entire 737 MAX fleet. And right now, originally 50 countries had grounded them, now it's global. And so once again, the story of how AI overpowers humans and kills them. Now, Democratic Party, I have been ranting about this for a couple of weeks with you, and according to one senior House Democrat, quote, all of our problems are caused by 3 people. Who are those 3 people, you might add? You know who they are. New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, and Tlaib, which I think she is from Michigan. And they have actually, according to this report, they're not bothered by decorum or deference to elderly or elder party members. Please excuse the Ewok. In fact, recently, AOC, as she's called, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, said that she warned Democrats who vote with Republicans by putting them on a list as primary targets, although she later denied the threat. So she's really no good. And Tlaib and Omar already have created a petition to impeach Trump. And Pelosi's losing control. And these 3 representatives, these newcomers, will destroy the Democratic Party as they try to destroy the United States. Now, speaking of people involved in anti-U.S. government and Islamic events, last Friday was International Women's Day, and Hamas in Gaza used Gazan women as human shields in order to attack Israel's southern border. That's very pro-female, isn't it? Palestinian Media Watch noted that the Palestinian Authority utilized International Women's Day as an opportunity to praise terrorism, female martyrs in particular. So why just blow up men? Let's blow up women as well. Let's go to children too. And that Saturday after that, a cluster of balloons launched carrying rocket-propelled grenades and anti-tank shells from Gaza landed in southern Israel. This is why the Arab countries are backing away from the Palestinians, because the Palestinians will never seek peace ever. Now, California, their wonderful governor, Gavin Newsom, he has signed an executive order to halt all death penalties in the state for child murderers, rapists, and serial killers who tortured their victims. Well, maybe Mr. Governor Newsom should spend some time with those people now that he's pardoned them and see what they do to him. California legal system and all public departments are in ruins, and they are unsustainable. California not only falling into the ocean, it's falling into destruction within. Now, for all of you who still believe in global warming, in just one day, 140,000 square miles of sea ice extended itself in both the Arctic and Antarctic. And in fact, that one-day jump put the ice mass higher than in all the years from 2007 to 2018. So where'd the cold come from? And not only that, but according to one of the weather experts, Australia could shiver through a freezing cold winter and should brace for a powerful cyclone, bringing the worst destruction for a century. This weather enthusiast, Dave Taylor, has now warned the nation will suffer from a biting winter that will eclipse previous records. He added South Australia, which is close to Antarctica, would likely see the brunt of the cold snap, but the cold blast would move up the Australian east coast into Queensland. He said, "Our heat comes from the sun, duh, and during the solar minimum, the sun cools down. And this is one of the biggest solar minimums we've had since the mini ice age." Notice that term, ice age. He says the solar minimum affects the northern hemisphere worse than the southern, although both can get very cold. The last mini ice age, was during 1645 to 1715. And of course, the one coming up, according to scientists, could last actually hundreds of years. So they're all starting to use the term ice age now, a lot, finally. Now, on some personal notes. As you know, I've reported over the last few weeks and months about my friend Duncan Cameron, and he needs funding. He's not doing well again. His treatments cost $18,000 a pop, and insurance is refusing to pay for any of that. So he needs funds, and he also needs about $20,000 for a chairlift so he can get in and out of his house, which is up on stilts. So I ask you please to donate to Duncan, but do this directly to his website, not the GoFundMe, but directly to his website, which is DuncanCameronRealityWalker.com. That's all one word, no spaces. DuncanCameronRealityWalker.com. He needs a chairlift and his medical expenses. Please, please, please help him. Now, some of you may know that I've reported on my blog about how I'm taking care of things while Janet's away. But yesterday, I kind of accidentally opened the garage door while the dogs were in there, and they ran away. It was a very disturbing time, running around this area, trying to find them. They were seen here and there. Neighbors reported seeing them, down by the river, up by the circle back there, and it was very frustrating. We drove around for hours. People helped. My neighbors were very, very wonderful, and I thank everybody who's in the Oaks neighborhood in St. Joseph, Michigan. Even though it was a cold and a snowy, kind of rotten day, but you know what? I this morning I had left the garage door open and the gate open, so in case they came back, they would come into the backyard. And of course, as of last night, very late, nothing. I called their names, ran around. Can't walk around too late here at night because there's cougars and bobcats and coyotes and other things. So I was worried about the safety of my wonderful dogs. And so this morning I went out, 7:30, nothing. I was very upset. I went down to feed the cats, and I really prayed, and it connected to the high frequencies that I taught everyone this past January and September. I went back upstairs to throw out the cat kitten litter stuff, and I heard a bark, and there the dogs were in the backyard waiting for me. They were pretty dirty, and they were pretty hungry and tired and scared because something must have chased them. But they're here, back and safe, and now they will never be let out of this house again, except in the backyard where they will be safe. So thank you, all of you who prayed and who knew about it, and I appreciate it. They're home and they're safe, and they're unconscious sleeping after they ate several pounds of meat. Now, just as Janet would remind you, webinars every Wednesday. You can still sign up for the month of March and April, and I believe May, and then June to September is they're on her hiatus. At the end of this month, the end of March into early April, I will be doing work in the Bahamas. I've been asked to do a national radio speech to the people of Bahamas. I was also recently asked to do a TV series, which will begin next month in April. Will be filmed either in Los Angeles and possibly New York. So I'll keep you updated on that. It's a show, and they demanded I be a part of it, even though I didn't want to be. This coming week, I am doing a show in Russia. The REN TV, I do many episodes with them on the paranormal and so on and so you will see, if you speak Russian, it will be on. I'll let you know when. I have also in May possibilities of seminars in Curacao and Istanbul. Of course, June is the Italy trip. I think there's only one seat left because people have signed up this past week. And of course, in October is the great event in St. Kitts Nevis with a very, very famous global movie star and very famous international leaders. I will be getting more details for you in the next couple of weeks, but it's very, very exciting. I had very interesting phone calls today with some very interesting people. And we have 3 new books coming out this year. You don't want to miss them, and they're going to be quite fascinating. But anyway, that's it for now. Next week, Janet will be back, and things will hopefully be back to normal, but whatever that means around here, because every day is not normal around here. So that's it for now, and bye, take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.